Greetings, everybody. It is I, Ray-chan, back with another reaction video. And this time it is not about Dragon Ball. Nope, we are going to be diving into a Bleach video. One made by Vonki, or Key, talking about the scale of the Bleach cosmology. Now, this can either go one of two ways: the right way or the wrong way. And what I mean by that is there's only one way to scale Bleach, the right way. And, well, everything else is just wrong. So we're going to find out what side of the camp he falls into. Let us proceed.
How strong is Bleach really? Without any wang, without any downplay. In this video we will be discussing exactly that. First of all, the Soul King separated the world of the living and the Soul Society, which were originally one. This would be a planetary feat considering the fact that they are planets. But what about Yuabach threatening to destroy the three worlds? Well, this is actually way more complicated. It's been consistently stated that Yuobach was simply going to destroy the balance of the worlds and make the worlds collide into each other by themselves, meaning that he wasn't going to directly destroy the three worlds. There is the argument that after absorbing the Soul King, he was going to destroy them directly without the need of destroying the balance, but this is actually false because the novel directly confirms that if Ichigo didn't beat Yuobach, he would have destroyed the balance of the world and made the worlds crumble together. So that final attack against Ichigo wasn't really Yuobach on his way to destroy the worlds by himself directly, it was actually him trying to cause the chain reaction. Which makes sense, we quite literally see that his energy covered the country, he was probably going to wipe out all the people there to destroy the balance. It's a better interpretation given what the novel states. So yeah, Yuobach's feat is not planetary. At best you can say that he's planetary because he scales to the Soul King possibly, but even that's iffy considering the fact that this version of the Soul King is much weaker than the one that split the worlds. He literally has no limbs and he's been sealed for millions of years. So one could argue that this version of the Soul King that Yuobach absorbed isn't even as strong as he was in his prime when he performed that massive feat.
So it looks like we're scaling Bleach the wrong way. Good to know. It's the big 2026, all right? It's time we accept the fact that the realms in Bleach are, in fact, universes and not planets, okay? The first scan novel that he brings up about the Soul King splitting the planets or whatever, universes, mind you, we get a glimpse of that in the anime, and we see three bubbles appear when he is splitting the realms. So I don't know why he didn't mention Hueco Mundo, because Hueco Mundo is part of the three. It is consistently said that the Soul King made the three, and it is also consistently said that Yuha plans to destroy the three. He's not just destroying the two realms, he's destroying three. Secondly, Yuha, after absorbing the Soul King's power, is capable of destroying the three realms via his own power. He states this a couple or a few times himself, actually. And even if you don't buy that, the fact that Yuha, with the Soul King power absorbed, is fighting Ichigo and the realms aren't, collapsing anytime anything happens to the Soul King, where the consequences are literally immediate, should also tell you that Yuha is keeping the realm stabilized via his own power. So trying to say that he wasn't going to destroy the soul realm, so trying to say he wasn't going to destroy the realms via his own power is completely wrong, and is just a complete misunderstanding of the story. Sure, he wanted to try to destroy the borders initially by having the Soul King killed, but those attempts got foiled, so eventually he just decided, screw it, I'll do it myself. And he quite literally does, only to get stopped yet again. And so I don't see the whole point of saying, that the Soul King was weaker because he was sealed away. I mean, sure, but he's still maintaining the existence of the entire cosmology via his power still. And it is his power that is maintaining it. So, yeah.
Obviously, it's a major debate whether the Soul Society and the world of the living are universes or whether they're in reference to planets, and it's very clear within the series that it's actually in reference to planets. Memories of Nobody, which is canon, the Soul Society and the world of the living are directly seen being planets, and even Toshiro states that the pathway was created that connected the two planets. Furthermore, Urahara directly states in that movie that the Soul Society and the world of the living are in the same universe, meaning that they are not separate universes. They are simply at different sections of the universe, but that's it. Even one of the Bleach novels implies that they are planets connected through a pipeline. More, we have the direct map of the Soul Society, which shows that the entire thing is simply land and the cities on it. And even the data book directly states that the buildings in the Seirei, the large buildings, are located far above the center of the Soul Society, which would only make sense in the context that the Soul Society is a planet. And of course, there is the manga where Ikaku directly states that the entire Soul Society is experiencing a night, which once again would only make sense in the context of this referring to a planet. There's also the data book directly stating that the world of the living is Earth, so there is that as well. The cosmology of the Earth is as follows: there is the world of the living, Earth, and far away within the universe there is the planet, the Soul Society, which is connected to Earth by a pipe, and of course between the two is Hueco Mundo. Now,
Okay, so this kind of gets into some advanced argumentation about, are they referring to a planet when they say soul society, or are they referring to the realm as a whole when they say soul society? And so I will give him a check here, or like a little ding here, for pointing that out with the Akaku statement. But past that, one instance, I would still say Soul Society as a whole is still far bigger than what Ikaku is talking about. And especially in the Bleach movie, where World of the Living and Soul Society are colliding into one another. Now, if you look back at that Bleach map that he showed in the beginning, World of the Living is depicted with the Earth and the Moon. And well, humans don't exactly live on the moon, so why would we still call that world of the living? I'll tell you why. It's because the world of the living is the human universe. It's the physical universe. It's where we are. That's why it's called the world of the living, because it's where, alive people is. And Soul Society and Hueco Mundo and all them other ones, those are spiritual realms, realms for souls, realms for non-physical bodies, okay? So that is important to understand when talking about Bleach. Secondly, the scan that he brings up where he tries to say that the novel also implies the realms are planet is completely dumb to use, and he would have caught that if he actually read the scan that he's using, but it's clear he didn't, and so it debunks him. And so it's just really ironic because it says if the realms could be likened to planets, okay, speaking with a metaphorical term, simile there, likened, okay, implying that they are far bigger than planets, okay? We're scaling them down and comparing them to planets, but it's not actually calling them planets. If anything, it's implying that the realms are something far, far bigger than just planets, okay? And then, to make matters even worse, he tries to claim that Urahara said that the realms all exist within the same universe. And now I definitely know he's smoking something, because I, as a reader of Bleach, and anyone who read Bleach would know that that is absolutely impossible. Okay? Urahara is the one that said that a realm of Reishi, like Soul Society, Reishi being spiritual atoms, cannot exist within a realm of Kishi, physical atoms, regular human atoms, okay? It's completely impossible. And in order for a physical body to go to a realm like Soul Society, they have to have their body broken down and converted into Reishi, which is why he built his spirit matter converter in the first place. So that way, Ichigo and his, not Ichigo, because Ichigo is already a soul, Shinigami, but that way, Ichigo's friends could go to Soul Society while still, having their human shape, form, or bodies. And in fact, this was also important because it was said that even if they could just pop their souls out their bodies, they would just be weighed down by their chains of fate, like Ichigo initially was. So they would have had to have gone through that whole long training process of being able to move without their souls and yada yada. And they just didn't have time for that, which is again why Kisuke made his spirit matter converter in the first place. So trying to say that they're in the universe just completely shows me that this dude doesn't understand or knows anything about Bleach at all. So this is in fact downplay, which was something he said he was going to try not to do, and yet here we are doing it anyways. And to make matters even worse and to act as the final nail in the coffin for why these realms do not exist in the same physical universe, on top of the fact that Kishi and Reishi matter type realms can't exist in the same physical space, we also know that they can't exist or in the same physical space because of the pipeline that he mentioned before in the scan again. The pipeline being the Dawn Guy. The Dawn Guy, which was stated to cut off Soul Society and Human World on a space time level, which means they quite literally, physically, and temporally cannot even exist. They don't even exist temporally or physically in the same way. Like, I don't exactly know how to put it into words. It's like a Dragon Ball universe, okay? You have Universe 6 and you have Universe 7. So, for example, Soul Society is Universe 6, Human World is Universe 7, okay? Both of these bubbles of universes have their own space and both of them have their own time and they just existing out there in the void, okay? And the Dawn Guy, while it does connect them, it also ensures that they stay separate. So again, he's just completely wrong in saying that they exist in the same universe, and is again what shows me that he has no idea what he is talking about at all with Bleach. So this is just more downplay.
There is the anime exclusive feat of Senjumaru shaking the quote-unquote three worlds, which a lot of people interpret as three universes, but since we concluded that everything is part of the same universe, there is no such thing. And since we concluded that the realms are in reference to planets, that means that she only shook three specific planets. To say that she shook anything beyond that is headcanon. Furthermore, since all three realms or planets are connected through gateways, that means that her energy could have very easily simply traveled through those gateways as opposed to traveling through all of space. It would make no sense for her to hype up shaking three planets if she could actually shake the entire universe or something. Furthermore, if she unleashed so much raw energy that she can shake galaxies or something, that would be so powerful that it would have destroyed the entire Soul Society, especially considering the fact that 15 million degrees, which is the heat of the sun, can already destroy the entire Soul Society. And supernovas are nowhere near the level where they can shake even galaxies, let alone universes. So yeah, this supports that her energy simply traveled through a gateway. Speaking of Yamamoto's Bankai, this is another proof that the Soul Society is simply in reference to a planet, considering the fact that once again, the heat of the sun can destroy the whole thing. Which makes sense. If the suns got teleported to Earth, it would destroy the entire planet, but it can't destroy the planet from millions of miles away. The Soul Society has to be incredibly small. There is also the argument that they are universes because if the balance is destroyed, the Soul Society would spill or crash into the world of the living and destroy the universe, but that's actually not the correct translation. The direct translation is that the world will be destroyed. And we already explained why this is in reference to planets and not the universe earlier, on top of the first movie literally showing the same phenomenon about to happen, where the society and Earth are about to crash into each other, and we literally see that this was just in reference to the planets. The stars and everything else is fine, there is no mention of them being affected, only the planets are seen and said to be affected, and only they are moving towards each other. So yeah, this is another common argument debunked.
Okay, now he wants to downplay Senjumaru and the greatest, well, Bleach feat that we've gotten so far. And I'm not having it, okay? Not one bit. Not, and the reason I'm not having it is because he even shows the gif of the effects of Senjumaru shaking everything, okay? And what's important about that is the fact that Ichigo and crew was traveling through the Garganta on their way to the Soul King Palace. Okay, the Soul King, or the Garganta being its own complete different thing, separate from the Don Guy, separate from World of the Living, separate from Waco Mundo, and separate from Soul Society. It is the void that contains the entire cosmology, okay? And so the reason why it's so important that it was shown her power even shaking them is because we know for a fact that her power did in fact go through the void of Garganta, okay? So just trying to say that her power somehow went through some gates and shook the planets or whatever is completely nonsensical. And to make that even worse, Hueco Mundo, again, which he didn't bring up initially, so he completely ignored Hueco Mundo as part of the three realms. We know she shook Hueco Mundo, and it was shown, and I'm pretty sure in that little gif he played, Hueco Mundo was also shown shaking. Hueco Mundo isn't connected to Soul Society or World of the Living in any way, shape, or form. It's its own complete bubble existing out there in the Garganta. So there is absolutely no fucking way that her power went through any kind of gate in order to shake it because there's nothing connecting Hueco Mundo to the rest of the realms. So her power did, in fact, have to travel through the void to get there. So that's completely wrong again. And because we established the fact that these realms are, in fact, universes and not planets, she shook the universes, okay? And her power would have gone through the Dawn Guy in order to get through to the human world because, again, they're separated on a space time level. So, again, the fact that he's trying to say and downplay her only to shaking planets when the planets in question can exist in the same universe. Waco Mundo doesn't even exist anywhere close to Soul Society or World of the Living. I, Again, this is all just downplay. I don't really even care about what he said about Yamamoto or anything else because none of it is relevant when the fact that his whole argument is completely debunked from the get go. And he keeps trying to bring up that whole planet scam in the novels when, again, it's just a damn simile comparing them to planets, not actually calling them planets. Like, again, he didn't read the scan. And if he did read the scan, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. So, just more downplay on his part.
With that, we've tackled the more reasonable side of Bleach scaling, and now we can move on to the outright wank that people spread. First of all, there is the argument that Aizen created a star. This is completely false because we quite literally see that this is a fake sky. Both the manga and the anime confirm that, and to top of that, it's directly stated that this was simply painted on the walls of Las Noches. So Aizen didn't create a real star, he simply created walls and painted things on them.
There's even a crazy statement that states White and Uhura can shake all of Hueco Mundo, which contains infinite sand.
The second argument is that Las Noches is infinite because the datbook says that it has infinite sand. By definition, infinite can simply mean something that you cannot count. I'm 99% sure that no Bleach character can count how many grains of sand there are even in a finite desert, so these are
I know somebody who can count all grains of sand in a desert. In fact, I know they can count them all because he said that he can count them all, and then he counts them all from up high. That obviously being Yuha, of course. So get fucked. Somebody in Bleach, in fact, can count all grains of sand. But other than that, I really don't care if you think Waco Mundo is infinite or not. Typically, it's looked at as being of similar size to the other realms, just because, again, it's always brought up in terms of it's being created along with the other two realms, and it's also being destroyed. Hueco Mundo is just one of the big three realms of the cosmology, and so it's often assumed or just looked at as being of similar size to the other realms, which I think is fair, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to assume It's not smaller, but if you want to assume it's smaller, knock yourself out. Doesn't change the fact that the other two realms are universes in size. And I completely forgot to mention in the last segment, there's another nail in the coffin. The fact of the matter being, Soul Society has its own starry night sky, which plays into the fact that again the realms are cut off on a space-time level. So Soul Society has its own separate outer space, unique and independent to that of, again, the human soul. I'm so tongue tied. Unique and independent of the world of the living's outer space. And we know World of the Living has outer space because we've seen Orihime with an encyclopedia of the stars, and we know Ichigo's, what do they call it? Zodiac sign is Cancer, and Cancer is astrology. Astrology is looking at the stars and yada, yada, yada. So basically, more implications that the realms are far, far bigger than what they seem to be. And again, they're cut off on a space-time level. I keep bringing this up because it's very important to know and very important to hammer in. And again, this dude would know that if he actually knew anything about Bleach, which he doesn't.
Argument has no merit. To say that the databook is suggesting that Commando is infinite in the truly infinite sense is complete nonsense. You'd have to prove why your interpretation of the statement is better than mine. We have such statements about deserts in Ordio, Urut. So this argument is rubbish. Get this Clyde garbage out of here. Next up, there is the argument that the value of the screams is universal or infinite because a character says that he has an infinite amount of souls.
So the rest of the video was sped up and started talking about stuff I frankly really didn't care for, nor did I see that it was fit to address. So I decided, again, I'm going to use my time skipping powers to just cut off the rest of it and not deal with it, spare everybody else the nonsense that this guy spews out because, again, I've debunked everything else enough. So, in conclusion, the realms are in fact universes, okay? They are cut off from each other on a space time level. Both realms have, Earth like realms where they have a sun and a moon, but they also have outer space, okay? They have starry night skies, which, again, shows that they're bigger. They have things like astrology. They have space exploration for the human realm, okay? So these realms are far, 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 far bigger than planets, and it's the big 2026. And I'm damn tired of calling these realms planets when they're not, unless in specific circumstances that you can prove. But outside of that, when referring to Soul Society and World of the Living in general terms, they are in fact universes. But that's all I got. If you're a Bleach fan and you agree that Bleach realms are universes in size, then smash like to show that you agree and to show that you made it to the end of the video. And I'll see you guys all on the next one. Peace.